Hello, everybody out there. How is everyone doing? I hope you're doing well. I'm going to do a video here about one of my favorite bands where I rank six of their albums, of course, starting from six and going up to my favorite album. And the group that I'm going to do this on is the British rock band Queen. That's right. And if you look over my shoulder behind there, there's a Queen poster. One of my favorite posters back there. But just a little bit about Queen. First, I just want to talk about how I got into Queen. And how I got into Queen and became a fan is when I was back in elementary school. I was growing up in a small Texas town. And, we'd get records as gifts from our family members. And, none of us had, excessive amounts of cash to keep buying records. And there really wasn't a record store in the small town that I grew up in. You either had to go to Austin, Texas, or you had to go to another town called San Marcos, Texas. But anyway, so a lot of times we'd have to borrow records and either make cassette copies of them, or you trade, like I do to this day. That's one of my favorite things to do, is to trade for other records. And that's how I got into Queen. I traded a couple of records for two Queen albums. And one of them was Night at the Opera, and I forgot what the other one is. I think the other one might have been News of the World. I don't remember. Anyway, I really dug Queen. I'm a big fan of Brian May, great guitarist, Freddie Mercury, John Deacon, Roger Taylor, just great musicians. And they really make some solid records. Even their later records are really good. I like The Miracle. I like Kind of Magic, The Works. But the top six favorite records is that I want to talk about. Excuse me. So that's what the purpose of this video. My ranking of six Queen records. Let's begin with number 6, 1980. And I'm sure we all heard that song that was released from this album. Crazy Little Thing Called Love. Yep. I'm talking about The Game, Queen the Game. This is a reissue copy that I have here. This album right here, also it had the big hit. You can call it disco, whatever, but that bass line for Another One Bites the Dust is something that we hear and we know what that song is. But this album has some other great album tracks like Sail Away Sweet Sister, Rocket, Need Your Lovin' Tonight, Dragon Attack, written by Brian May, just great guitar playing, and Play the Game. That is one of my favorite songs on this album. So at number 6, The Game by Queen. At number 5, 1974. This album has also another album that I'm surprised we don't hear a lot more of the rock tracks on this record. At number 5 for me is Queen, Sheer Heart Attack. I love this back cover, this like broken glass look. But Brighton Rock, of course, it had Killer Queen, but there's other songs like Flick of the Wrist, Lily of the Valley, Now I'm Here, In the Lap of the God, Stone Cold Crazy, Misfire. I mean, this album is just loaded with some really good songs. Would I recommend it to someone to have it in their collection and getting into Queen? Yeah, I would. Such a solid record. And again, the big hit Killer Queen, which is a song I don't ever get tired of hearing. I know you hear it a lot on rock radio, classic rock. Okay, at number 4, I got a somewhat of an interesting story about this record, and I'll tell you what it is. At number 4, 1976, A Day at the Races. This is a reissued copy. It sounds really good. It really does. And I just love this photo of the band inside, and it has the lyrics. But when I used to see this record, I used to think that this was A Night at the Opera, but with an alternate cover. And one day, as a youngster, I bought the album. This is not my original one that I used to have. I lost all my good original records a long, long time ago with a lot of moving to various parts in Texas, various cities we lived in. But I used to think that until one day when I bought it, so this record is not A Night at the Opera. And even though it has this on the back to tell me the title of the song, I didn't even really pay attention to that. I just wanted another Queen album. It's A Day at the Races. That's the name of this album. This album, I feel like, is underrated. And that's just my opinion. I'm not here to stir the pot or say anything to, get negative comments about it. And some people might say this is not one of their strong records. I say that it is. I mean, this record has some really solid tracks like Long Away, Tie Your Mother Down, the ballad of You Take My Breath Away, Somebody to Love Me, White Man. I like that song. Good Old Fashioned Lover Boy. I would say this is a really good, solid record. Really, really. Now, number 3, I don't know if you might think you might know what it is already, but number 3 is A Night at the Opera, which a long, long time ago is one of the records that I traded for back when I lived in that small Texas town. I had a friend that wanted, I think he wanted a couple of my Kiss records. So I went ahead and made me a copy of those 2 Kiss records on a blank cassette. And said, sure, I'm ready to trade now. And I forgot what the other one, I want to say it was News of the World, but for sure it was this album. And when I got this album and took it home, I played it right away and I was blown away by this album. This album is another one of their solid records. I mean, this album contains the hits, of course, You're My Best Friend, and Bohemian Rhapsody, but songs like Dead on Two Legs, In Love with My Car, 39, Sweet Lady. I mean, such a solid record. This is not my original, but years before, a few years ago, I found this is a UK pressing of it. And just show you the inside of it. I like the little photos of the band down there in the bottom, the lyrics. It's a very nice sounding press of this record, Night at the Opera. Oh boy, we're already at number 2. This one was hard between number 2 and number 1 because I could argue with myself and say, no, Edward, those are tied for first, but I wasn't going to do it that way. At number 2, and I remember this record coming out. It came out, and I was living with my grandparents, and I asked them, could they buy me this album? At number 2, 1978, Queen, Jazz. This is a reissue, though. I like that this is embossed. You can feel that a little bit right there. But this album right here, from beginning to end, I can listen to this record over and over. There's some other great songs. Of course, yes, this is a reissue, and it does come with that famous poster inside. But I'm not going to show the poster. And I think you already know what the poster is, so there's no need to go into that. But songs like If You Can't Beat Them, or Let Me Entertain You, I'm not going to say the two big hits on here. I'm going to say the other ones that, and now we hear the song "Don't Stop Me Now" in commercials. More of That Jazz, Dreamers Ball, Fun It. I love that song. But one of my favorite songs on this record that I just love, and I love the lyrics, "Leaving Home Ain't Easy." I can relate to that song because when I moved back in with my mom and my stepdad, home had become for me was living with my grandparents for a long, long time. I lived with them all the way up to freshman in high school. So when I hear that song, it brings back memories, and I think about them. But "Leaving Home Ain't Easy" is one of my favorite songs on this record, and Queen songs. Period. Number one, I don't have no drum roll going here, is I'm going to say it, epic classic of 1977 when Queen came out with. The cover is awesome artwork. The sound of the album is awesome. I mean, we're still chanting that song. We're still hearing that song. You know which one it is. And it goes into the next song. Lots of airplay. You know what it is. Number one with me is Queen, News of the World. I love the artwork. I forget the name of the book that it comes from. But this album, all these albums that I'm showing here, in my opinion, they rock out. But this one has some other good rock classics as well that can still stand the test of time. "We Will Rock You, We Are the Champions." But "Sheer Heart Attack," that drumming, awesome. "All Dead, All Dead." "Spread Your Wings" is a song that I feel like it should be played on rock FM radio. "Fight from the Inside," "Get Down, Make Love," "Sleeping on the Sidewalk," "It's Late." Love that song. And it ends with another good song that I like, "My Melancholy Blues." Melancholy Blues, yes. That's it right there, folks. Number one with me in my ranking of the Queen albums is News of the World. Yes, if you're starting off with Queen, you want to have this album in your collection. Such a great, everything about this album is like one of those records you say, that album is perfect. The artwork, the production, the recording, the songs, the lyrics, the musicianship on there, everything that makes a good, solid rock classic. Again, folks, that's my ranking of my favorite top 6 Queen records. I'm not here to stir the pot, like I'm saying. I'm not here to say this one better than that. These are all pretty much are equal, but when it came down to ranking them, I said, if I'm going to rank them, it's going to be the top 6. Maybe I'll do their later albums and do my ranking of those. Those later records are good. Innuendo. I even like Hot Space. You know, I will say this. You know, when people have to pick a worst album and it's always something like an album like that. And it's like, I always want to ask them, when was the last time you played that record? You know? I know people like to be completists. I'm a completist. I don't have everything by Queen, but I got a good chunk of it. But what I'm saying is, you know, revisit some of these records, even their later ones, revisit them. You know, it's Queen, one of the all-time great rock bands in rock history. Thank you again for watching. I appreciate every one of you. I appreciate all those who comment. I'll see you soon. Take care, everybody.